Chapter 2. Mr. Benson leaves in his wheelchair, his legs still in his lap. He looks even grumpier than he did before. "Remember to practice with it, Mr. Benson," Chloe calls after him. He doesn't say a word. Chloe smiles at me. "Your turn." As she leads us down the hallway, I watch her legs. Her movements are smooth, assured. Part of me doesn't quite believe she's got a fake leg. The rest of me is enormously encouraged. She takes us to a small room with a patient table and a service sink. The floor is stained dusty white, like a chalkboard that won't come clean. It's not just the floor either. The cupboard doors, the sink, the chairs. There's chalky whiteness everywhere. "Just sit up here," Chloe says, pulling fresh paper over the table. "Hank will take some measurements, do a cast." She smiles at me. "Nothing that hurts." When she's gone, my mom whispers, "That's amazing. I sure can't tell." Hank walks in. He's the same guy I remember from my hospital nightmare. Stocky, bald, partially preoccupied, like half of him is somewhere else. I notice his shoes, his pants, his shirt. They're all smudged, chalky white. "Jessica," he says, like the other half of him has finally arrived. He seems genuinely happy to see me. "Good to see you looking so well." He turns to my mom. "Hello, Mrs. Carlyle. How are you?" Mom nods, but he's waiting for a real answer, so she says, "Better than the last time you saw me." "Good." He scoots a chair up to me and says, "So let's get you fitted for a leg, shall we?" He has me take off my shrinker's sock and my left shoe and sock too. Then he starts measuring. He uses tools like I've seen my dad use. A metal caliper, a tape measure, something that looks like a carpenter's square. He takes all sorts of measurements of my stump side and of my good side too. And when he's all done, he nods and says, "And what kind of shoe do you normally wear?" I point to my running shoe. These." He picks up the shoe and makes a note of the size, then says, "Okay, we're ready to make a cast of your residual limb. From that, we'll be able to make a plaster model, and from that, we'll build your first socket." Mom asks, "The socket's the part that goes over her? Over the residual limb?" "That's right. Once we've got a comfortable socket, we'll add the pylon and the foot. But first things first, we do a cast." He goes to a cupboard, pulls out a box of supplies, and hands me a long, simple belt with a sliding clasp. "Fasten this around your waist," he says, then proceeds to untangle 3 adjustable straps that have little clamps on both ends. He puts the straps aside, then produces a short, very thin stocking, which he pulls onto my stump. It's smooth and soft, almost silky. "We cover your residual leg with this first," he says, "because it makes it so much easier to remove the cast." Next, he attaches the stocking to the belt around my waist with the 3 straps, and when he's sure it's secure and the stocking is on smooth and tight, he says, "Just a few markings and we're ready." Right on top of the stocking, he begins marking places around my knee, along what's left of my shin, my scar, points where bones stick out. The pencil he's using is blue, and when he's done, the stocking looks like a little kid scribbled on it. "These markings will transfer to the cast," he explains. "They'll show me where we can put pressure and also where we should relieve it." Next, he fills a small bowl with water and brings it and 2 rolls of chalky-looking white gauze over to the table. "Have you ever had a cast?" I shake my head. It doesn't take long. He dunks one of the gauzy rolls into the bowl of water, and when it's wet, he starts wrapping it around my leg, spiraling from the knee down to the end of the stump and back up. This has plaster of Paris in it, he tells me as he wraps. The water creates an exothermic reaction. Do you feel it warming up? I nod because my stump is getting warmer and warmer. It's not uncomfortable, more like a hot towel wrap. He uses both rolls, then tells me to relax my leg and begins massaging the plaster of Paris around. We need good contact, he says, so we get an accurate impression. When he's done massaging the plaster, he smooths it down with his hands, then presses his thumbs around the bottom part of my kneecap, getting a good impression of that area. There, he says. Now we wait a few minutes for it to harden, and that's it. Easy, huh? He cleans up while we wait. There are plaster drips here and there, including on his shoes, and a scuff of it on his pants. He chuckles when he sees me watching him. Yes, it's hopeless, he says, but I still try. I can feel the cast start to lose its heat, and after a few more minutes, Hank checks it, then unclamps the straps and says, Ready? I nod, and after some gentle wiggling, the cast slides right off. He looks it over and smiles. Beautiful. Mom asks, So, how long does it take for you to make the socket? Usually about a week. He looks from her to me, then says, But how about I shoot for Friday? That would be great, she says. He nods. We'll give you a call when it's ready. I tie on my left shoe and gather my crutches, and on the way out I run into Chloe in the hallway. Oh, excuse me, she says, and dances out of my way. We smile and say our goodbyes, and as I hobble out to the car on my crutches, I'm filled with a very strange feeling, one I thought I might never feel again. Hope.